Okay, guys, welcome to Overcast. It's that time of the week again where we get to talk to you guys about what's going down. And
what's going down?
We got a very exciting episode lined up today. We're going to be talking about inspiration, mainly in the forms of our favorite bands.
Our family bands.
Jared and I have been hugely inspired by music and particular artists and genres, and we're gonna dive into that tonight. So, anyways, I'm Andrew, and that didn't work.
Do it again.
I don't think it works on studio mode. Hold on. Oh, I see. Okay.
Ha!
Still learning. Anyways, that's Jared. Yep. I think mine's gonna glitch, but we'll see.
Okay.
Yep. Okay. Well, we live and learn. Don't put it on studio mode. Gotcha. All right, and so this week is episode 4, Inspiration.
Specifically music.
Yes. Okay.
Did it
sure.
play?
I guess. I don't know.
No,
I had it set up, so there should have been audio there.
That's neat.
Okay. Cool. Awesome.
It might have.
So, we are going to start with talking about inspiration in a very broad sense.
Yeah.
So, Jared, do you want to read the definition of inspiration that I found from Google?
All right. The process of being mentally stimulated to do or feel something, especially something creative.
Okay.
Synonyms include creativity, inventiveness, innovation, ingenuity, genius, imagination, and originality.
Okay. Let's briefly unpack that definition.
Had that scroll all the way across the bottom.
Yeah, right.
Inspiration.
Okay, next week. Anyways, dude, I have a laundry list of things that I want to do for this, but there's 24 hours in a day, and we just got done working 50 hours in 3 days, 4 days. I don't know.
I can't.
Michaela tallied it up, and it was a lot of time. So, anyways, let's unpack the definition. So,
cool.
Inspiration is, first off, it is a process. Okay, so take that as you will.
Yeah.
It includes mental stimulation. Okay, so there's
That's funny.
Maybe brain cells moving. I mean, not literally, but you know what I mean.
So the opposite of boredom, basically.
The opposite of boredom, absolutely.
I would argue that creativity or inspiration is the opposite of boredom.
Okay, the opposite of boredom.
And, yeah.
Sweet.
Do you get bored ever?
Yes, all the time.
Really?
Particularly when I'm in away from my creative spaces. So I did this when we went to Pennsylvania with Michaela, and it had nothing to do with being in Pennsylvania. It had everything to do with the fact I didn't take my laptop, and I literally couldn't get on After Effects and just make stuff. And it drove me nuts. I love going to Pennsylvania, but I need to have an hour or two every couple of days where I can just sit down and just play around with ideas and make stuff. That's when I find myself getting bored.
I'm only bored if I stay in the house for 2 days or more.
Okay.
So if I get out, I'm good. I hardly get bored. I always try to do something.
Gotcha.
This inspiration would be the opposite of that then.
Right. For sure.
Gotcha.
Cool. So, mental stimulation, opposite of boredom, like you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
To do or feel something. So,
Besides boredom.
Yeah. Well, boredom, I feel
it
makes you very stale, and boredom is almost the opposite of action, whereas stimulation, inspiration is the essence of action. When you're inspired, you act.
Yeah.
If you don't act after inspiration, it just it's what would be a good analogy? I'm thinking about, so inspiration comes in, and it's kind of like pouring water into a cup, and you're supposed to pour it back out, you yourself. So inspiration comes in as an external source, and then you internally act it out. Right. And so that's kind of what I would say for that. And then, especially to do something creative, that's kind of a caveat at the end, because inspiration most of the time is referring to creative processes. And yeah, so you did the synonyms, and let's talk about some sources of inspiration. So I was thinking about this today. Basically everything can be inspiration. There's probably positive and negative inspiration, but I want to focus just mainly on positive inspiration, things that makes you want to try something new. We draw it from almost anything around us, anything that sparks our interest or we say speaks to us. It kind of moves us into a particular direction. And then some practical examples of inspiration to me would be like the Bible is a big one. Movies, obviously, is huge. Artwork, different types of artwork, either like digital graphics or paintings, like especially the classics. Those really inspire me.
I've even been inspired by stuff that's like totally, like I would never do that, but I can appreciate the amount of skill that goes into that. Right. And mainly that's like more in the art realm, but I mean there are people that do really creative things with like spoken word and things like that. I would never really actually attempt to do. Yeah. But I can appreciate the amount of skill and practice and stuff that people pour into that. For sure. I don't get personally, and this is going to be a positive statement. I don't personally or didn't personally understand people that dance to like worship music and stuff. Yeah. But I respect that. As an art form for how much work they put into it, and it's still as a worship form too. You know, you can say that, even though like it was a hard thing for me to grasp. Yeah. Initially, I did have like an aha moment. Like, this is still art. This is they practice a lot, and I appreciate that too. Yeah,
definitely, for sure. Yeah, that'd be good. Hop on so you can look at the chat, because I can't keep like a bunch of things up at once. Yeah. So, nature can be inspiring. Like if you have ever gone out west and seen just the towering mountain ranges that are just, I mean, there's no words for it. And it just kind of brings you to a place of just pure awe. You're all inspired, right? And then teachings and books, like particular teachers who, talk about things that they're passionate about. Public speakers are a big one. And then the books that they write as follow-ups, like you've got leadership books are a big thing to inspire people with. So yeah, today's focus, music. You probably already saw that in the title. So, we both picked 3 bands that we felt like are our most inspiring, I guess. It's, once again, hard to pick, but for these, honestly, they just kind of felt more natural. I think last week it was a lot harder to pick for me for some reason. I don't know. Yeah. I just have, I guess, a bit more of a narrowed interest in music. So yeah.
No, you keep talking.
You
keep talking.
Okay. Okay. Whatever you think. You'll have to scroll it over.
You see this? Okay, thank you.
It's because you're zoomed in, aren't you?
No.
Yeah, you're totally. Look how big everything is.
I know. No. So maybe I am. Keep talking. They can't see what I'm doing.
You're good, man. So, I'm just going to start running through my list and kind of unpacking how I feel about it, and the things that these bands have done to inspire me. So, Jared, if you want to prepare the slideshow on your end, por favor.
Nah.
Okay. Sweet. All right. So, the first one for me is Lowercase Noises.
Which, let's comment on our setup right now. This is the first time we're doing this. I'm running the slideshow through what NDI tool?
Yeah, NDI. Well, it's by the company NewTek, and it's called the NDI Toolkit, and it converts his. It's like screen sharing over Ethernet over your network.
Local network, yeah.
Yeah. So it works really well, and they have solutions for cameras as well, which I eventually want to invest into and do a full setup.
So it's pretty sweet because we're using the local network to do screen sharing and capture in there.
Yeah,
I just wanted to comment
and it works really well.
Yeah.
So, anyways, my first one is Lowercase Noises. I have a sample song
that we can find
that you guys can hear. Yeah. So, there's that. Okay. So yeah, you can hear the. It's pretty chill, very laid back. Definitely some of my favorite stuff to listen to.
Cool. What makes it inspirational?
All right, let's talk about what makes Lowercase Noises inspirational. For me, the first time that I heard this music was the first time that I was introduced to the genre of ambient music. And when that took place in my life, it was like radically life-changing for me. First time I heard it was this particular song. It was called It Was a Sight off of Seafront. Actually, switch to the next slide. I'll show you guys the album artwork for Seafront.
I did.
Yeah, I don't know why there's like a latency thing with your mouse. Like it has to I don't know.
It's not that
Anyways, well no, when I first switched over, it like didn't update it until you moved. So I don't know if there's some kind of signal.
Hold on.
So
no, we're good.
It's working. Yeah, okay. It's working now, but like when I go from anyways, well, yeah, we'll figure it out. So this song is from Seafront. It's very beautiful, simple track. I would listen to it to fall asleep a lot, and yeah, that was a huge influence on me. I'm gonna turn that off real quick. So when I listened to this, I remember just finding something that I'd never found before and that I wanted to do. And I actually wrote an entire, well, it really kicked off my whole music career in a way, but I wrote an album that is available on Spotify. I didn't make a sponsor slide or anything for it because I just didn't, but I wrote an album.
Shit that I had.
Right?
Held by nails. I'll plug it for you.
Yeah, right. You can pull up my SoundCloud and I can we could take your screen.
Yeah.
All right, whatever. It's on Spotify. And this music is really good for soundtracks and music bed behind videos because it's all wordless and very much so very cinematic in nature, I feel like. Yeah. So, anyways.
Setting the mood.
Yeah, sets the mood. Andy Othling, the guy who writes the music, he's awesome. I've seen him at a show before. He's also a giant. He's very tall. I don't think he's as tall as you, but he's like super tall.
No.
And yeah, he's super cool.
I've seen him live. Did we see him live together? Did you see him in Cleveland?
No, I saw him with Seth at Marietta, but he did come to Cleveland.
I saw him in Cleveland.
I know. I wasn't there for that show.
He was touring with
Levi the Poet.
Levi.
Yep.
Yeah. They had some cool stuff. They just it was super super hipster. They just projected a bunch of shapes on the wall.
That was the picture from the picture number 1 was his projection thing. That was when that was getting really big. Yeah. So that's my first one. Very inspiring. The next one, if you want to get that ready, is a band called This Will Destroy You. Let's see, watch.
Huh.
I don't know why.
Okay, I see.
But I think it like freezes for a second. So This Will Destroy You is post-rock. If you're not familiar with that genre.
You got the little guy with the violin over there. Nice.
Yep. If you're not familiar with post-rock, it's I think it came out of Thailand. Or I mean, it's really hard to say where it originated, but it's big in Thailand, and it's essentially just instrumental rock music. They call it post because it's kind of post. It's not like no words.
It has some drone elements to it.
Very much so.
Effects, pedals, that sort of thing.
Yeah,
rock
and the ambient post rock genre go hand in hand. So a lot of bands that do post rock have very progressive sounds. So, anyways, I'm gonna play a sample of one of their songs now for you guys. The song is called Threads, and it's really beautiful music. This one's a lot quieter than the last one. What is my mouse doing? This one's a lot quieter, but it's really beautiful music. It's very intense at times. My favorite song is off of this album that you see shared right now. The album is Young Mountain, and the song is There Are Some Remedies Worse Than the Disease. And the first time I listened to it, I cried. And they're not a Christian band or anything like that, but I'll never forget it. I was driving, it was late, I was on my way home from Georgia to Tennessee, and I was just, I think it was like some kind of playlist radio for like Explosions in the Sky or something, and I remember finding it, and it was just amazing. I had never heard anything like that, and I had been listening to post rock and stuff, but there was that particular song has a climax that was just like completely raw emotion, and it just, the weight of it kind of fell on me in that moment, and I felt something that, I mean, honestly, I always moved in a way that I'd never been moved before. I've been moved by music, but this was a different type of emotion that I had never felt, and I kind of realized in that moment how much power instrumental music can have.
Yeah.
You know, just because there aren't lyrics doesn't mean that there can't be a tremendous amount of emotion and tone.
It's crazy.
It is. And also, this is really good music for music bed stuff as well. That, you can license it and put it under, different short films and stuff. And I think that their music has been used in that way a lot.
Yeah, so. Absolutely. The thing with instrumental music is that, I mean, music is just extremely, extremely powerful.
Right.
And the positivity and negativity, also vibe of that also can be communicated, even within the same genre.
Right.
You can feel if that artist is going to be like more positive or more negative vibes, and you can really feel it. Now, I know it's a little bit out there for some people, but I mean, I could play two songs that are very, very similar, and one of them you just feel kind of tense, and the other one you can feel a little bit more like at ease, and that's, I mean, that's just really, really powerful how music can be.
Yep. Well. So, we'll go to my last one here, and this is a band that I absolutely love. Jared and I did a short podcast one time a while back, and we talked about, it was a long time ago, and we talked about favorite bands, and I mentioned this band from just I enjoy listening to them standpoint, but now I want to talk to you from an inspiring standpoint. So that band is Wiggle the Mouse. Yeah, that's so weird. Yeah, that band is Loud Harp. You see them up on the screen right now. It's Asher Sievink and Dave Wilton. And they're just a little two-piece project, and incredibly beautiful, reflective, just sincere music that they make. I can't describe them any other way than they are just a welcoming home to me. They play music that my ears want to hear and have always wanted to hear. It was like when I listened to them for the first time, it was like that sense you get when you go home. There's just a peace to it. There's an overwhelming just sense of I felt understood.
Yeah, it's
cool.
It's extremely extremely genuine music.
Yeah, it is.
Which I appreciate, because some people like. So you could describe this as worship music. A lot of what they do.
Yeah.
And the thing about that is that's such an overused term that people don't actually know what worship should be.
Right.
loud harp is an example of what worship should be.
Yep, I would agree. I would 100% agree with that.
From a musical standpoint, from a lyrical standpoint,
yep.
It's really, really genuine stuff that goes back to, like, you could relate it to some like Psalms and stuff. That's just really extremely genuine stuff.
Which is funny because one of their albums, Asaph, they're all numbered, and they're all numbered on Psalms.
Yeah.
So,
but
definitely.
But it's not just trying to sing the lyrics of the Bible. I mean, that has very limited creativity.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and there's nothing wrong with doing that, but
right.
I mean, you get into a point where well, my understanding of worship music for the majority of my life, like growing up, has just been completely unoriginal and completely disingenuous,
right.
and just trying to copy whatever's popular at the time. And
right.
loud harp is the exact opposite of that.
Yep.
I mean, just trying to do genuine stuff.
Really stripped back.
Yeah,
it's cool.
Really,
it's really cool.
I mean, it's really what it should be: genuine from the heart, and actually, worshiping.
Yep.
God in a lot of
Throw up that next slide so they can see. This is their first album. It's just a self-titled, and that one's probably my favorite, mainly just because it's kind of the first one that I remember seeing and hearing, and you never forget like that first album from your favorite band, know, or the album that the inaugural introduction of that.
It's almost always the best one.
Yeah, it
for
is.
nostalgia reasons.
It's kind of the maiden voyage of like your relationship with the band for the rest of the time.
I would say there's very few bands where the latest or progression of them is better than the first one.
Right.
Which is unfortunate because you'd think you would get better at it.
Right.
Or more evolved, and certain bands do, but I feel like a lot of bands they kind of climax a little.
Right. No, for sure. Well, let's move on to Jared.
Completely.
Yeah,
there's no way to do it. It's completely opposite end of the spectrum.
And
I will preface this like I didn't really get into chill music up until specifically the Ember Days finger painting EP.
Yeah.
That really turned me on to stuff like Andrew's talking about, and that was super, super powerful to me because I'd only listened to really intense music, rock, metal, whatever I could listen to.
Right.
And that really allowed me to slow down and understand God in a more peaceful way.
That's awesome.
Getting into stuff. So I wouldn't have been able to listen to stuff like Loud Harp if it wasn't for like Finger Painting EP and a couple other ones that really taught me to slow down. But not slowing down.
Slowing down. I'm going to start playing the song.
Okay.
And you guys can kind of hear it in the background.
So
yeah, let's Button.
So one of the first inspirational bands for me. Wow, that's so funny. One of the first inspirational bands for me was Demon Hunter, or Eamon Hunter.
Oh, oops.
Let's leave it.
Well, I have a way. I don't have a way right now.
Well, they know what I'm talking about. These guys are awesome. They were one of the first metal bands I listened to. Just leave it, because I could do this. I could do like...
Okay, that works, yeah.
See, you know what I'm talking about now.
Okay. Demon Hunter.
I
got it. I'll take it off. Yeah, we're good.
These guys were one of the first Christian metal bands that I found, which was extremely important to me because I fell in love with metal because it's just wonderful music, and I was a drummer, so it was pushing the limits of what could be done.
Yeah. And
a lot of it was just not very healthy to listen to. Like, I mean, a lot of these great drummers and everything, musically were fantastic, but I just didn't agree with their message at all, really. Yeah. Which was kind of important, and honestly, at first, I didn't really care about what they're actually talking about. I was just in it for the music. Same thing with Demon Hunter. I didn't really understand what their music was about. I just knew that they were very open about being Christian, and they had an artistic approach to just life in general. They didn't have to have like these, the Bible verses and anything like that. They were just talking about life and the music and everything, and they were beautiful and making beautiful music. And listening to interviews and stuff from them, they were talking about how growing up, the Christian was synonymous with suck, and they kind of were set on a, not necessarily a mission. That's not the main reason they were doing it, but it was part of the reason they were doing it. Just like, we want to make good metal,
right?
And we're Christian, and we're not going to deny the fact of that. And so to have a band that is very open about who they are and what they stand for, and then they don't suck, or has a Christian band, that was just very, very powerful. And then certain songs, as I was listening to them, did have a really deep impact on me, because I grew up with this void, honestly, of knowing that what I understood as Christian music growing up was weak. Honestly, that's the best way to describe it. I just grew up with just copy and paste, just I'm a friend of God, just this meaningless Christian love songs that were just the pop versions of. Literally, you could look at Christian pop artists, and it was what was trendy a year before. So it was just the Christian Britney Spears, or the Christian whatever, the Christian version of whatever.
Even longer periods of time where, one of the biggest criticisms of contemporary Christian music is that it's all just basically a ripoff of U2 from the late 90s, when U2 was kind of pushing that sound. So it's kind of crazy.
Either way, just not only just lacking creativity, but it really did suck. I grew up in the 90s and early 2000s, and the majority of it did. And then you find bands like Demon Hunter that don't.
In popular opinion, it sucked.
Yeah.
There are obviously people who liked it, and there were some good standout songs.
It created a legitimate void that didn't start getting filled up until I found Demon Hunter.
Right.
With the level of intensity, with the level of meaning in a lot of it. Because it didn't have, my relationship with Christ was not reflected in Christian worship songs that you're hearing every day. Which that kind of sucks. And how do you communicate that as a teenager? I couldn't really. But then I started finding bands like Demon Hunter, and I was just like, okay, this is what I need to be listening to. The lyrics, this is from the triptych. If this is all the love my spirit can give, just take it back tonight. There's not a reason more to live. That is way more powerful than the stuff that I grew up listening to, lyrically. And I got into it because of the drums, I really did. I'll date myself a little bit. I had Not I was one of their songs on my MySpace page.
Yep.
That played automatically, which I was so proud of.
Gotta have that.
As far as inspirational level, the art, and we'll go back to this.
Yeah, for sure.
Slideshow. The art from Demon Hunter is absolutely just incredible. I
think if you just full screen it, I think it's gonna auto advance.
Hopefully not.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
so I think
you're good.
So the art from Demon Hunter, they have Ryan Clark that did all the stuff. I wonder if I can pause.
Yeah, the way you want to do it, scoot that over and then just full screen.
Yeah.
There you go. Perfect.
The way that the art for Demon Hunter was just super awesome. Just had a demon skull that looked like the first album was like a trophy, like a hunting trophy. But Ryan Clark is actually a graphic designer that did a bunch of other award-winning album cover art.
And they have some sick stuff.
The stuff from the Chariot and all that stuff ended up going. I think he and his brother started a major graphic design company.
That's so cool.
That's nationwide. I think he's helped out Lego and stuff like that. So just a super successful individual that also does a very successful metal band on the side.
Right.
That's very, very inspirational, just to do what you love.
Sweet. And then you met him, right?
Yeah.
So
like this is college.
Yeah.
So I met Ryan Clark, which is pretty awesome. At a show. This was Nashville. Did you go to the show with me? We were talking about this earlier.
I went to that show.
Yeah, so we saw him in Demon Hunter and As I Lay Dying and a couple other ones.
Yeah,
it was pretty awesome.
And then what's going on the picture on the left, Jared?
So another level of inspirations. They had a music video competition for True Defiance, which is one of their albums, and put out a song. And I was in class at the time, and we were doing class projects, and this competition came out at the same time as a class project to do a music video. So I thought it would dual purpose a video, and I got about a dozen to a dozen and a half people involved.
That's awesome.
And put together a music video. We had a concept based off of the theme for True Defiance.
Yep.
And put it together, submitted it, and I ended up winning this guitar.
Custom
artwork,
custom design.
89 out of 500. And I had different tuning pegs than normal, and also an autograph thing from them. I didn't know I wanted until like months later, so it was pretty cool. I
remember that. That was awesome.
That inspired me to keep doing that sort of thing, and I actually helped inspire other people to enter some competitions that they ended up winning online too. Yeah. And they told me directly that I would never even think to do stuff like this if it wouldn't been for you winning, a guitar.
That's so cool.
So, I mean, we're talking about inspiration. This was the band that not only started me down metal, but also encouraged me in doing video production stuff.
Sweet.
And so there's
so
very
cool,
crappy
man.
Pictures.
Yeah.
From doing all that.
That's awesome.
So that's the kind of the first one that I wanted to talk about.
Yep.
And it just still to this day, the artwork that they do and the style that they have with all the black and this very metal look. They did a concert one time where they came out in tuxedos, just like black tie, and they did a metal show. Like pretty sure like Ryan Clark had a full tux on with like metal fingerless gloves, like leather fingerless gloves. And I'm just like, these guys.
That's amazing.
These guys are so brutal. The next one we have is Haste the Day.
Okay. I'll put that on right now.
There. That was another one of the first bands that I listened to as far as metal wise. Yeah. I started listening to them in high school, just like Demon Hunter.
Right.
And like there's kind of a golden era for metal, in my opinion. That was between like 2005 and 2010. And people can argue with me, and I'm dating myself a little bit, but these guys, again, at first I was just getting into the music that I liked because it's musical, but these guys really turned me on to the power of lyrics, specifically the Burning Bridge CD.
Right. Which I think you have that artwork on the next slide for that.
Yeah. Cool. Look at that. This came out in 2004, but it didn't really impact me until like early college.
Yeah.
It's been like 2010-ish. I went back to this album.
Right.
And really had an impactful, lyrically had an impactful, inspirational thing on me.
Right.
Because I never really fully related to a band lyrically up until then. Like I had some stuff like Demon Hunter, obviously, like that really some of those things I related to, and I was like, okay, I can say this, about myself or about to God or whatever, but the Burning Bridges CD really was just on a different level for me.
Yeah.
So I related to the honesty, and a lot of this stuff was about struggle. Burning Bridges was about walking away from things that you needed to walk away from, burning that bridge down, and that was very relevant in my life in my early college years. Cool. So, I mean, for me, it didn't have to quote the Bible or anything. It was just this is where I am. We were talking about the Psalms earlier, like a lot of the Psalms were like, I'm surrounded by enemies, or like, hey, my life sucks right now, and then they weren't afraid to admit it. And again, going back to what I grew up on, that just wasn't a thing. Yeah. That wasn't a common theme of like struggle. It was just like, everything's great, God is good, shut up, like don't say anything else. Burning Bridges, I mean, with lyrics like won't look back, chains that bound me, screamed at the top of my lungs. Like I needed that in a time of my life where I was getting out of a very manipulative, terrible relationship, and I needed that when I was trying to stop watching porn. And
for sure,
like, there's nothing that is going to be a replacement of that. There was no like pop Christian radio song that
was getting down into the pits and the darker stuff that people struggle with.
The whole album was about laying your ghosts to rest and burning the bridges and walking away at full volume, screaming at the top of my lungs, because that's where I was. I needed to have that intensity in my life, and I needed to have those lyrics to relate to.
Right.
Like,
awesome.
Because I wasn't everything's fine, God's gonna work it out. The cliche. It was, I need to stop. I'm going to walk away. I'm going to make it through this, and that's what that album was.
And you did.
Was for me. Yeah, absolutely.
That's awesome.
So, and it's still to this day the most lyrically impactful album of my entire life.
Awesome.
Sweet.
Cool. Okay, the next one. I'm just going to put this one on and not say anything.
Yeah.
So.
You and Dan showed me these guys.
Yeah. Okay.
And
you got it pulled up?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So the next band that I want to talk about was For Today, which...
Hold on, wait for the drop.
The first time you showed me this, I still remember where I was in the setting. We were in a dorm room. I don't think it was yours. I think it was Dan's.
Yeah, I don't think it was mine.
And
I'm pretty sure it was Dan's.
You're like, all right, I've got to show you this. We are going to see these guys soon, I think. No, we were going to go see the In the Midst of Lions.
Yeah, I remember seeing them when they were like itty bitty.
Gosh.
At the Cloud Belly,
but you're like, you gotta listen to these guys.
That was that show I pushed that kid over, or tackled the kid.
Yeah,
remember that? He kicked me, and then I tackled him.
Which I ended up meeting later.
Yeah, like right. Yeah, you told me that. That was so random. That's hilarious.
But anyway, the first time I heard the song and the whole Portrait CD, which if you're ever here, I was just completely thrown off.
Right.
Because I mean, so this was later college, so mid of later college when I heard of this, and I was just completely blown away. Musically, it was fantastic, but from a spiritual aspect, the lyrics were the most powerful Christian lyrics that I've ever heard.
Right.
By far. And, I was talking about, the void that I grew up with and everything like that, and how certain things started, like, filling in that void. And I think it was completely filled when For Today came about. Because they set not only did they set the new standard, but it was the most ballsy, in-your-face, unquestionably Christ-following music that I have ever heard in my life. Right. And that was so incredibly powerful, which related very, very well to the musical intensity, too. I mean, that song we just listened to was just Repent or Perish. I was just like, that is stark contrast of what I grew up listening to.
I know, right?
Stark contrast.
But here's the thing, though. It's kind of the soundtrack to Billy Graham. Because he did the Turner Burn, like sermons and stuff, where they would get up and say, if you died tonight, what would happen?
Right.
I mean, that's essentially like imagine Billy Graham did for an altar call music gift for today. People nobody would leave without getting saved.
And I mean
think about that.
I mean, and I don't want to get off on a huge tangent on this, but I mean, I've watched people walk out to Eddie James, sort of kind of rap-ish Christian gospel stuff. That's still pretty mainstream. And I've heard all sorts of people tell me that there's no such thing as Christian metal, which is a whole other conversation. But I mean, this musically, and so theologically, you did have people that were turn and burn and would actually preach the word and actually have stuff that was that intense. And actually, but musically, I didn't see this.
Yeah,
I didn't see this at all up until For Today came out. And I honestly felt like this was something I've been missing my entire life.
Yeah.
It really did. And there's not a whole lot of things that I could say that about. But it was just I want to read some of the lyrics.
All right.
This came out on the Portrait CD. I believe that God can raise the dead, and then you use these hands to do it.
Yeah.
What? How come we weren't singing this on Sunday mornings?
It makes sense, though, when you think about the culture that Maddie came out of. He's a ramp guy.
Yeah.
And, they're very much about letting God use you to do supernatural things. And, that totally spills into the lyrics.
Totally biblical about what he's saying. But he wasn't just quoting, scripture.
Right.
And super, super powerful. And honestly, they backed that stuff up. Here's another lyrics from one of their EPs, talking about the crucifixion. If you want to talk about the definition of a worship song? Okay, it should have been me with the nails through my hands and feet, facing the wrath of God. It should have been me. Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Substitutional atonement.
Right.
Right.
And
doesn't make
this is something that I've felt. Right. This is very similar to things that I've screamed out for God in very desperate times of my life. Right. And to have music that represents that.
Yeah.
Totally powerful.
For sure.
So they set the bar as for me and for a lot of people that I've talked to. They set the bar for what it means to be a Christian band in general.
Yeah.
What you should do spiritually, lyrically, and musically, and seeing them live, they kept up with that. So they didn't. They were. You could tell that they were being genuine about it.
Yeah, they're the real deal. I mean, there's usually. In the music scene, there's usually a disconnect between the on-stage performance and the off-stage interaction, but I can definitely speak for today. It's what you see is who they are. I mean, there's no image about it.
We've seen bands that started out Christian and then ended up not being, and they lose part of what I'll loosely say because it's such an overused word. They lose the part of their anointing. They use their anointing completely.
Yeah, they forget about their convictions and start to compromise, and then we can use the word anointing, but it's really just their influence and the power behind their music seems to fade alongside that. So.
Yeah, and I will say this. I mean, I watched them with some very, 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 very secular bands that just had pentagrams on their stuff, on their shirt and stuff, and For Today was headlining the I think it was the Ignite the World tour or something close to that. Yeah. And they were touring with some other bands that just really dark, just really, really dark. Right. And For Today gets up there and bass drop, in the name of Jesus, demons have to flee, and it was just you could feel it, and it wasn't just a bass drop. I mean, it was just the whole atmosphere change. It was just amazing. I'm never gonna forget that, and I've seen them twice, and they start just declaring things with the authority that they've been given, and it was just how come there are not more people that are doing something that intense spiritually? Amazing. If to recap the percussion of this stuff, the Demon Hunter and Hinks Today and all that stuff has been very inspirational all through my life. But I feel like bands like For Today and a couple other ones that I would put on their level have really taken what it means to be a Christian band, specifically a Christian metal band is what we're talking about, to what it should be.
Yeah, and gave people permission. You know, the early pioneers, Haste the Day, Under Oath, Demon Hunter.
Yeah.
You know, those people gave other people permission to express what they...
On whatever level.
Yeah, I mean, it was just like, go for it. We're doing it, you do it.
Yeah.
You know, that's awesome.
And even if you're not going to be, like, as in your face as For Today, it made it okay. And honestly, I think the bands like For Today, because metal was just... at least in the realm that I grew up in, like it was just mainly meaningless.
Yeah.
There was some meaning to it, but a lot of it was just like, you get like certain genres that were just like about dragons and stuff, and it didn't really make any sense. But for the mainstream American metal, it was just like, I'm angry. I mean, you get the punk stuff that was like, I'm angry at the government. But that was what it was. And then what was going on with the lyrical intensity of bands like For Today started coming out with very, very in-your-face Christian lyrics.
Right.
And then it wasn't enough to go, I'm angry. you have bands that went from cussing, you know, that sort of thing, to we can't keep up with the actual content, so we're going to have to go more in the opposite direction to keep up with the lyrical intensity. Yeah. So you had bands, and I could literally highlight bands that went from one album to the next album, started coming up with stuff that was anti-Christian just because of the lyrical intensity that was showing up on the scene.
Right. That's true. I mean, light and dark, you know, the two cannot exist with one another.
No, it's completely different in certain other parts of the world. Like in other parts of the world, it has primarily been super, super dark. Like in Norway, you know, the metal that came out of Norway was
the black metal.
And so the Christian music was counter to that.
Yeah.
But in the realm that I grew up in, and you know, the Southeast America, it was just... It's just fun. It was Metallica and Slayer and all that stuff that really didn't have much of a deep meaning to it.
Yeah.
Honestly. So.
Well, let's run top to bottom through the list for both of us again. All right, cool. So, anyways, to recap, my bands were Lowercase Noises, This Will Destroy You, and Loudheart. And Jared's were...
Demon Hunter.
Demon Hunter.
Ace the Day.
Ace the Day.
And or today. Or today.
Or today. You could do that tomorrow or today.
Or today.
So that's our inspiring bands for this week. I think both of us could have talked about more bands.
Absolutely.
But just because there's so many
in other
sources of
too.
inspiration.
I mean, in other genres too, because that was just kind of like our one vein. But there's been a lot of inspirational, like Christian rap artists. There's been stuff that hasn't been Christian at all that's musically inspiring to me. You know, but we had to pick three.
So, anyways, once again, I'm Andrew, and that's Jared.
It's reversed.
And I'm glad that...
What did we say last week? Grab an umbrella.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right. Or bring an umbrella.
Bring an umbrella.
Okay, so anyways, guys, thanks for watching Overcast. We're going to completely just admit to you that this is a process that we are going to continue to refine. Each week, I am trying to increase the production level one little bit at a time. This week, I feel like, you know, we're interfacing different sources. We're just trying new things, and so just bear with us as we grow. But you get to come along with the ride, and
absolutely. And we're gonna try to do our best to respond to you guys' comments. So if you want to talk about, I'd love to hear. We both really honestly dig super deep into music and related artists, and get us some pretty weird stuff sometimes. But please share your inspirational bands with us in the comments.
Yep.
And if we haven't heard of them, we'll look them up and try to do our best to respond.
All right. So, anyways, once again, this is this has been Overcast with Andrew and Jared, and we'll see you next week. And don't forget, bring an umbrella.